Good evening and welcome to Spurs Kings TV, where this is your match reaction to Tottenham Hotspur beating Brighton 2-1 at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today. Without further ado, I'll start the show by bringing on our guests. It is none other than Mr. Dan E, Arns and Harry Scarf joining us on the show today. Welcome to everyone in the chat. As always, everyone who's been to the game today, thank you very much for joining us. Before we get started, please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new around here and hit the like button. Thank you very much. Right, so Tottenham Hotspur back to winning ways. Couple of iffy results before this one. 2-1 today with a nervy last-minute goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against a really decent Brighton outfit, I must say. Guys, talk me through the game because I actually didn't watch the game today, but I did see the last goal of the game, which was scored by Brennan Johnson. I'll start with Dan. Well, actually, first of all, you know what? I should actually ask you guys how you are. Dan, was you at the game today? And
no, I watched the game on TV. Wasn't at the game. Watched the game on TV today.
Yeah.
Needed a couple of beers after it. Distressing, I think, was an understatement, but we won, so I suppose that'd do.
Great, yeah. So Dan managed to watch the game on TV. I'm not sure how many others did. Obviously, it wasn't televised, being a 3 p.m. kickoff, but ways and means act. Ain't that right, Dan? Arns, was you at the game today? Judging by your top, I'm going to assume that you was.
I actually wasn't. I worked today. I actually watched it at home, but I always wear my colours on match days. But no, very frustrated, but we got over the line. But we'll talk about that more throughout the show.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us as well, Arns. And last but not least, Mr. Harry Scarf. I believe you was at the game, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was at the game. Being honest with you, it's one of those where you go, it's poor performance, but we've got 3 points, and that is all that matters. Football's a result-based business. And you know, we've had times this season where we played Villa, for example, or West Ham, where we should have come away with all 3 points, but haven't. So it's nice to be able to say, look, we weren't great, but we got all 3 points and turned it around at the end. So yeah, I was at the game, and then the scenes at the end were great. But it was definitely a frustrating game, to say the least.
Great stuff. And I'm sure you're going to talk us through the game and those scenes at the end of the game as well, Harry. Thank you very much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Right, so let's get started. I mean, look, we had a draw in our last game. It wasn't a great result against Everton, if we're being honest. Conceded a last-minute goal, Dan. But today we've got a last-minute goal of our own. And would you say you'd forgive the performance? Judging by the reaction on social media, what people are saying, what I've seen and everything else, would you forgive that performance today in light of that last-minute goal from Johnson and bagging all 3 points?
No, because if you forgive performances like that, then you're going to get more performances like that, and then we won't just get lucky like we did at the end there. That could have very much easily gone either way. I must admit, I was more expecting them to score because it's the sort of thing we're known for over lately. And bar maybe 1 or 2 players. Second half, for about 20 minutes, we took total control of the game, scored a goal, made 3 subs, and then fell to pieces again. First half, all Brighton, all over us. We didn't know what we were doing. And yeah, even Vicario, made a couple of saves today, but a couple of his passes out nearly got us in big trouble today. Van der Ven, I'd say that's probably the worst I've seen him play for Spurs. Udogie didn't have a good game. Porro, 50-50. Romero, good game. Bentancur, this is the 4th game on a trot now that he has not played good, let alone half his standards. We all know he's better than that. Sarr, I'd say he was all right. Kulusevski, lost. Werner might as well have not been there. And Richarlison, he tried, but every pass that came to him, he was on the wrong side of the bloody defender. So it was a frustrating game, to say the least. And I think we're lucky that we came away with that with 3 points. that could have easily lost 3 points.
Sounds like it was a really frustrating afternoon at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Dan. But Ons, I mean, the starting 11, talk me through the starting 11, because I know Son didn't start. He was given a rest today. Barring Son, the team was practically the same. I know Sarr stepped in today in place of Højbjerg, who was, deputising whilst he was away. What did you make of the starting 11 when you first saw it before the game, and how do you think they performed?
I was quite surprised to see Kulusevski starting after giving Everton's goal last week. He hasn't really been at it since Man United. Bentancur's just, I know he come back from injury 6 weeks early just to help the team, which we appreciate, but I'm pretty sure now Ange must look and think, right, there's something not right there. I don't know whether it's mental, physical, could be a mixture of things, but yeah, I mean, today everyone's like, oh, this is the first time Ange can pick from a full squad. But you've got to remember Son arrived back yesterday or late Thursday night, and Basuma has just recovered from malaria. So, yeah, I thought that would be the starting 11, but I thought he might have given Johnson a go. But then again, Johnson's normally a player who, well, since Brentford, has just come on, and he made a difference against Brentford, and he made a difference today, obviously with his goals, not with his performance. But yeah, as Dan said, I thought there were some players that just didn't look like they wanted to be there today. It was a game of Brighton had the majority of it for 20 minutes, and then we took hold of the game, and then it went back to them, and I thought, oh, here we go. After we got our equaliser, I thought, well, Brighton will probably nick it, but luckily we did in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating because, obviously we've had a different starting 11 almost every game since the African Cup of Nations, since the injuries, obviously. It's not great because the side haven't been really sort of settled with first 11, starting first 11. But Harry, talk me through, the changes. Is that something that's affecting Spurs at the moment? I know Son didn't start today. A couple of other players, who stepped in today as well. Why do you think it is that we sort of lose momentum at points in games now? I mean, we're sort of have this tendency now that we concede and then we chase the game and then we end up having to sort of get late winners or equalisers. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, whenever you make 3-4 changes at once, there's always going to be some kind of knock-on effect because it disrupts the rhythm. It's completely different players, different strengths and different weaknesses. So going back to the Everton game, I don't think personally it's the right thing to do to make that many changes and the play, not necessarily the players that were brought on, but for me it's more about the players that come off. If you're going to defend and counter-attack, you need Werner's pacing behind you, need Maddison's creativity. So I think that was questionable. Obviously today I was like Dan and Arns have both said, when we got back to 1-1 and we had that period where Brighton were on top, I personally thought that Brighton would go on and win it. I'm glad to be sitting here to say that they didn't, and we did. But there was a long period where it was really nervous inside the stadium. Brighton were in control. They had 2 or 3 chances that ultimately should have ended up in the back of the net. So I'm very glad that we won it. But this is an issue for sure, and Andrew will be able to turn to his bench and be able to help us in the game. Ultimately, yes, we won. Johnson, right place, right time. But you look at his overall performances. The few minutes he's on the pitch, it isn't great. His first touch wasn't good. Every time the ball came to him, he just couldn't break. And ultimately, he was there to break. So questions have to be asked. Obviously, the in-game management and what the players off the bench are doing. But I think a lot of players have just come back from injury, etc. So I don't think it'll be a problem long term, but for now, that's for sure. But I'm just glad to be sitting here with 3 points, because at one point it seemed like we were going to come away with nothing.
Absolutely, Harry. And that's a good take on the game, to be honest, and what's been going on lately with Spurs. But guys, I just want you to talk me through the first goal that we conceded. Brighton scored first. It was penalty. I know it was Van de Ven who made the challenge. Dan E, talk me through the penalty. Do you think it was a penalty, first of all? And if it was a penalty, was it clumsy from Van de Ven, or if it wasn't, was it a dodgy decision? What was your take on it? And
it was
perhaps talk about the build up to it as well, because obviously to make a challenge in the box, we want to hear what the build up was like.
Well, again, with the penalty, it looked like it was just scruffy inside the box, basically. And you could see a few people, I think, were scared to make a tackle for obvious reasons. And he basically just caught him with a foot. It was a penalty. He didn't get the ball. It wasn't a nasty foul or nothing like that, but it was a foul. So it's in the box. It's a penalty. And that's that. That's all there is to it.
So your
It
take,
was just clumsy, basically, but it was a penalty because it would have been a foul outside the box. So yeah, it was just a clumsy foot, caught him on the ankle, and that was that penalty. That's all there was to it, basically.
I mean,
Scruffiness. That was it, basically. That's how I saw it.
I mean, Arns, Dan's just summed it up as just a stonewall penalty. You know, was it the case that it was an outright penalty, made a clumsy challenge, one that he had to make? I
think it was because like Van der Ven did catch him. Welbeck for me is a handful. He might not get your goals and assists of the, I don't know.
He's awkward, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just a very, very awkward player. He's fast. He's really good in the air. He's really strong. He gets in the right positions. But yeah, I would have been, if it was against Spurs and it never got given, I'll be going mad. It was a penalty. And that's all it was to it. Same as Dan. It was just a bit of scruffiness. Van der Ven caught him. He went down. Goal. Do you know what I mean? Penalty goal.
So, I mean, Harry, it sounds like Dan and Arns, you know, they reckon, you know, it was a stonewall penalty. I mean, do you see it the same way as well? All three of you? You agree?
100%. I think they're both spot on that there isn't a lot to it apart from, as Dan alludes to, it's clumsy from Van der Ven. It's, to be honest with you, unlike him. I haven't seen it back, but someone in the stadium at the time, it seemed like a foul. I don't know what you put it down to, but it's just for me more clumsiness than anything. We give away the penalty. Obviously, Brighton score it. Part of me, obviously, it's never good when you give a penalty away, but obviously they're without João Pedro. João Pedro's record from the spot is very, very good. So part of me was like, who's going to take it? You know, so I wasn't like, what's the way to put it? In terms of the João Pedro, you just don't want to be giving away penalties when you've got him about. His record is very, very strong. It's clumsy from Van der Ven, but then Brighton obviously scored the penalty, which made a little bit of a surprise with the João Pedro. So yeah, not the start we wanted, and clumsy from Van der Ven. But yeah, for me, it looked like a stonewall penalty. I've yet to see it back, but there's someone inside the stadium, quite a way away from it. It did look obvious and poor from Van der Ven.
Can I just quickly say that Welbeck actually won a penalty against us in the reverse fixture at the Amex?
Wow.
He was the one who got dragged down. That's what I said. He's just very awkward, isn't he? He's someone who won't get you.
Horrible to deal with, yeah.
Yeah, he's got experience on. He brings experience, doesn't he? In that box,
he's got a lot of experience.
You know that experience. You know, served Brighton so well, and you'd think someone like Welbeck, you know, like Tottenham would sort of turn their nose at that. It's just Welbeck, but Brighton, when they bought him for that experience. He's played at Manchester United. He's played in the biggest games you can ever play in. And he brings a wealth of experience. But
he gets himself in the right areas, doesn't he? And he probably thought, right, I'm going to get in here. I might get a bit of contact and I'll go down. And he basically not brought the penalty, but he was very clever in thinking, well, if I can get in front of Van der Ven and Van der Ven hits me, I'm going down. And he done exactly that.
Absolutely. And if you got the opportunity to, convince the ref, then obviously you're going to take that. But look,
didn't do it.
I just want to put this out there. I mean, look, we are conceding goals every single game now. It's starting to get a bit worrying for me anyway, because would you say, I'll start with Dan or whoever wants to go, you know, is it a concern and are we worried about the form of players like Van der Ven or Romero? Obviously, Romero being one that, you know, in the last few games made a couple of mistakes here and there, but is that creeping up on Van der Ven as well now? Is anyone worried about our form defensively?
It's not going to change. It's the style of play we play. We're going to concede goals. Even if we got the 4 best defenders on the planet, they're going to concede goals. It's the way we play. We seem to have the attitude of you score 2, we score 3. And we do concede on average 2 goals a game. And I think this is now give or take one. I can't remember the exact amount, but I think we've had one clean sheet in 15 games, is it now, today?
Yeah, I think so.
Either 14 or 15, something like that. And it is starting to show. And the amount of times that Vicario has saved us in a big way back there as well. People are blaming it on the midfield. I don't even think it's the midfielder to blame for it as such. You can blame like Bentancur, like someone stated on here. He gave the ball away. He gave the ball away enough times today. And the amount of times we're caught up the other end of the pitch and the ball goes over, and if Van der Ven weren't as quick as he we'd be in big trouble. It's the way we're playing. We're going to concede goals. And surely there's going to have to be a way. We're going to have to work around that, adapt to the situation where we don't concede so many goals. But it seems like Angie's style of play. No matter what, you're going to concede goals because you're so far up the pitch. You're going to get caught out sooner or later, or on the wings, like we do get caught out a lot. We're going to concede goals.
And does anyone else put it down to Angie's tactics, perhaps? Is that the reason why we're sort of conceding? Because before the season started, we said with this high line, it's likely that we're going to have to score more than we concede. Is that now the case, guys? Is that what we're seeing now? Is it a case of we have to score more than we concede? Yeah,
probably. I think when you've got two fullbacks that like to get really high up the pitch and come inside, if you saw against Brentford in the first half, the amount of times that Brentford got down a doggy's side and he was missing because Ange wants him to play as like an inward, like attacking midfielder. It's weird.
He got caught. Sorry, he got caught on the right hand side twice, didn't he? With nobody on the left at all.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is okay, Dan is spot on. It's not going to change when we've got Ange as our manager. Ange will not change his philosophy to suit anyone. Like he will want to play his way, and the game basically is right. You're going to score, but we're going to score more than you. And there are times like Everton, where we'll draw the game, maybe lose the game, like Man City in the FA Cup or whatever. But yeah, we seem to be getting these results here and there, mainly winning them. But it's a little bit of a concern. I don't think the form of Van der Ven or Romero or anyone like that is worrying, because Van der Ven for me was against Everton was an absolute warrior. He was absolutely brilliant. His pace gets us out of a lot of trouble. But then I think that's the reason why Ange just says to Porro and the doggy, look, you get up the pitch. We've got a lot of pace and we've got Romero back there that will scare the life out of you. But look, it makes our football more exciting. And everyone says, oh, from Mourinho to Conte, it was like dinosaur football. It was boring. But this is getting a little bit like, oh, this is a bit... It's not... It is exciting to watch. It is good when we do play well, when we win games comfortably. But in these games, like Brentford when we won 3-2, today when we just nicked it in the last minute, Sheffield United when we nicked it in the last minute, it is kind of like, well, if we didn't nick these games, we're going to be 7th. Do you know what I mean?
And we've been bloody lucky a few times, haven't we? I mean, today they could have been 3-0 up at half time.
It does go with like if the other team took their chances, and I know we do miss chances. I love Richarlison and all he stands for. He's got a really good heart. He's got really good energy. He's got really good work rate. He loves Tottenham, but we're not going to be lifting any silverware with him as our lead man. We need a out and out Ivan Toney. We need a 20 goal a season man. And I know Richarlison's probably got 11 goals or something, but he isn't the number 9 for you to go on and win trophies for me.
His first touch is terrible. It's still, I mean, today quite a few times he got the ball and lost it within 2 seconds, where his first touch is that bad. I still don't rate the player highly at all, but credit where it's due. His past 8 games have been good, so you've got to give the man credit where it's due.
Yeah.
But, I mean, his first touch on the ball is terrible.
Well, today it was really bad, like really bad. But I do think against Brentford it was really good. It's a weird one with Richarlison because there's no, like, at the minute he's on flames. He scored what, like 9 in his last 11 or something.
Yeah.
But overall, it's like if his first touch was better, it might create more chances. We might win games a bit more comfortably. I don't know what it is, but At the minute, I think he's brilliant. Like, well, his form's brilliant at the minute, but today he just kind of looked a bit like a headless chicken. Do you not think?
Would you say
most of the time?
Would you say this model of football? I'll come to you, Harry, because you haven't spoken in a little while. But
yeah,
this model of football at the moment that we're playing with the current squad, do you think it's sustainable? You know, can you see us sort of getting anywhere, especially if we were to carry on playing like this in the season? Because the thing that I get is we play defensive football, and you know we do well for a certain amount of time, and then he sort of goes pear-shaped. But we're playing sort of more attacking, expansive football, and as you know, we did well at the beginning of the season, and it's sort of dipped a bit in the middle of the season. So we can't sort of get the balance right at the moment. Do you think it's sustainable? What do you reckon needs to change?
Good question. I look at us sadly at the moment and go that we are quite predictable, and I think Manchester City kind of figured that out when they played us, obviously, and knocked us out in the FA Cup. I think they looked at us and go, if you stop the fullbacks from inverting and creating, and you go man to man with Maddison, then for me, you stop Tottenham Hotspur, because you stop any kind of creative supply that comes from Maddison as the number 10 or the fullbacks. Obviously, we didn't have as many players available for City, but I look at us and go, yeah, we're quite predictable. And I worry about us from things like set pieces. I'm all for the high line, but things like against Chelsea, when you haven't got Van der Ven or Romero, you've got no registered centre back on the pitch. Why you keep going with the high line? I personally don't get that. And then from set pieces as well, I think you shoot yourself in the foot playing a high line, because as an opposition player, because of the way we kind of mark, which is almost like zonal marking, you've only got to stay onside and you have a very good chance of putting the ball in the back of the net. So I'm a bit concerned going forward. I think, again, today we rode our luck, as Dan says, and we go back to the Everton game. We played them at home. Not the recent one at Goodison Park, but we probably lucky to come away with all 3 points there. Sheffield United, we left it really late. So although it's nice to be winning these games, and as I always say, football is a results-based business, there's part of me that thinks that this isn't sustainable even for the rest of the season. And I love the way we play, but at the end of the day, for me, we're not putting games to bed. We're not putting teams to bed. We're not taking chances that we should, and we're not keeping the ball out of the back of the net. I don't think that's something that's going to change. And again, as Dan alludes to, and as you allude to as well, Mark, we could have any back four for me, and you're still going to concede goals because of the way we play. I think obviously you have to be flexible sometimes. I think Angie's in-game management is perhaps questionable. So I'm just happy at the moment that we're kind of, in a way, getting results like we did today. But is it sustainable? No. But hopefully with players coming back, we get them back to full fitness. And we just perhaps learn from mistakes of in-game management. But at the end of the day, Johnson came on, he scored, although I didn't think he was great. So I suppose the bigger picture, that's all that matters. But yeah, there's concerned about us, Haz. I do think we are quite predictable.
Yeah.
Question for you, quick. Can I ask a quick question for everyone?
Yeah, go on, Dan.
Do you think it's starting to show now that how lucky we actually were for the first 10 games of the season? Because a lot of people going on, we was in the title race, this and that, and we're unbeaten 10 games. Yeah, all great. I see a majority of those 10 games, we were bloody lucky. Man U, they should have been 3-0 up at half-time. We have had a lot of luck. We've also had our keeper save us a few times. Do you think it's actually starting to show how lucky we have been at times? I think our football is a bit of a lie to us at times, like against Everton at points. We looked like we was in total domination because we had the ball for so long. But that doesn't mean you're in control. We was just playing the way they wanted us to play, sit back, catch them on a counter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe. Go on, H, you can go.
You sure?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for me, Dan, I do think it does show that we were lucky, because you look at games like Sheffield United, right, who they played a low block, they nearly got all 3 points against us, and at the end of the day we came up with all three. Liverpool as well, I was there celebrating, probably over celebrating if you like the win. If you look back on that and the decisions that took place in the game, they ended the day with 9 men, etc. Had a goal disallowed that should have stood, an own goal, etc. So there's a lot that went in our favour, and I think there's a lot of kind of games like that. And then Chelsea, it kind of a bit of a reality check, all kind of went wrong at once. So yeah, Dan, I do think it does show To be honest with you, like games like that against Everton, if our luck continued, you would have saw it out. Goodison, we didn't. So yeah, I think, don't get me wrong, I think we played some good football, but at the end of the day, for me, sometimes we move the ball too slowly. I think we create chances, we just can't seem to finish them and put teams to bed. And for me, 2-0 is always a dangerous lead to have, because do you push on for the third? Do you protect it? And I think could be a headache for the rest of the season. We know that for me, set piece is going to be a problem, I think, on Vicario. So I think it's going to be an ongoing issue. So I do think it does show, answering your question, the luck. And I think we've kind of had it for a long while now. And, I don't think many people believe that we were in the title race. If you look deeply at our performances, results suggested yes. But if you look at the teams we played at the time and performances, then probably not. But like we're sitting here today, right? It's Brighton at home. No disrespect to Brighton, but they're out there for me. They're their most informed player at the moment, João Pedro. And if it feeds them, it'd be funny. I think 2 or 3 goals go in the back of the net. And Dan, as you say, Vicario for me probably saved us 5, 6, 7, maybe more points this season. I generally think we'd be sitting 6th or 7th. Probably more than that. I generally think we'd be sitting outside or on the edge of top 6. If it wasn't for him. Some of the saves he's made, just really crucial, and they all add up. So I think we have road luck, and sadly that always comes to an end.
I mean, before we get on to the winner from Johnson, and we are going to talk about that winner from Johnson and a bit about the second half, but how much of a difference do you reckon, and I think this is an interesting question, how much of a difference has it made not actually having Harry Kane there after 10 years? Would you say that's been a massive factor in not being clinical in certain games? Obviously, Richarlison's sort of form has gone up a bit in certain games recently, but had we had Harry Kane at the club this season with how Andrew's playing, do you reckon the results might be a bit different? Do you reckon we might be a little bit higher in the table? Or do you still think, actually, even if we still had Kane, we're still going to be exposed at the back?
I don't know. Listen, for me, Harry Kane's the best striker in the world. Any team in the world with Harry Kane in their team are going to be better off than what they are without him. Selling Harry Kane at the beginning of the season, kind of the first 10 games, kind of like it kind of made us forget about him a little bit. But overall, Harry Kane, I think, would have had about 20 goals by now. Yes, I was just thinking about it while when you were talking. If you actually think about the results we've had in the last 10 games, Bournemouth 3-2 at home. That was like, they slaughtered us in the first half. Everton at home, 2-1. 1 goal again. Lucky. Liverpool, 2-1. VAR went wrong. They went down to 9 men. Still 2-1. Sheffield United, 2 goals in the last 10 minutes. 2-1. Like, all these games we're winning up by 1 goal. It's not as if like we're 4-1 up and then like a dodgy decision and we kind of get a bit lucky.
I mean, even the Burnley game on. I mean,
one goal from Porro in the 84th minute. Like, yeah.
No, I'm talking about the league game where we beat them 4-2. Was it
5-2 away? Yeah.
Yeah, 5-2.
Yeah. Look, it's a weird one. Going back to what Dan said about luck, like it's kind of like, yes, we are really, we have been very lucky this season, but then again, we're Tottenham. We never, ever get luck. We were the last team in the Premier League this season to be awarded a penalty. It always goes against us as well. Do you not find it that, like, if a player is out of form, like Calvert-Lewin last week, ain't scored in 16, they always score against us. Like, or if we're playing against a former player, they will always score against us. It's weird. It's always weird with Tottenham, but I'm kind of happy that luck's going our way in a way. And I think it is a mixture of luck and a different sort of mentality, because we're getting over the line, with the winning mentality. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, don't give up. Keep playing the way you play. Don't stop, and something will come from it. And 3 or 4 times this season we've scored like in the 90th plus minute. So it is a mixture of luck and a desire to win, in my opinion, if you get me.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm highlighting this. I'm highlighting this thing at the bottom here. This comment from Parker, and shout out to Parker, by the way. He says a lot of our fan base are almost blinded by what happened last season, that they think this football is amazing. It's defo not. Teams have done their homework now on us. Ange in-game is non-existent. I mean, quite a bold comment. I can agree with parts of it, especially the part where, you know, Parker mentions that other teams have done their homework on us. And I think you only have to look at the tactics deployed by the teams when they're taking corners and hitting the ball inwards directly towards Vicario, because as much as I love Vicario and he's a fantastic goalkeeper, I think other teams have sussed out his weakness, and that's coming for the ball at corners, you know, in swinging balls. And we've seen
He's a fantastic shot stopper.
Fantastic, but we saw it at Manchester City, and then Everton deployed the same tactics, and you know, Everton scored from it as well. So
that's not his catching the ball.
Passing today was a bit like, you know, like
his passing was terrible today.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. Like he's an amazing shot stopper. He seems to have like
he's a brilliant catcher.
Yeah.
No, I think you're slightly missing something of what his actual problem is. It's not coming out and catching the ball. He's got all the mouth in the world, but he is not physically aggressive enough. Take that game for Everton, for example. They just backed into him, and he goes and pushes the player like that, gives him a little push, like he's touching it, like go away sort of it. Now, if that would have been Pickford with his little T-Rex arms and that, it'd have basically picked the player up and thrown him out of the way and said, "Get out of my face."
Yeah, you need a presence like Ashmatic. Like
that is his weak spot. He is not aggressive enough. And today, we actually countered it, because you did see at the start, Maddison actually blocking the player from going into him and protecting him. And then Van der Ven done it, Romero done it, but they've definitely found a little weak spot for him on a dead ball situation, and that is he's not physically aggressive enough. Goalkeepers are protected, basically. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say.
They can be more physical. He should literally just push the player off him properly, get out my face, instead of like touch him like he's tickling him, basically.
Yeah, I suppose what Dan's trying to say is, you know, top goalkeepers of the past, you know, your Schmeichels, Van der Sars, everyone else, they would absolutely knock out their own players to get to the ball. You know, if you're in my way, I'm going to steamroll you, and I'm going to get that ball. I don't care who's in my way, and I can agree with that. You know, we shouldn't be expecting, you know, the refs or VAR to do us a favour. It's not going to happen. We've seen it so many times. You know. That goal that you know, we conceded against Everton, where he was backed into, you know, you think, why have you allowed him to do that? You know, granted, I know you're saying defenders helped him out today, but you know, we shouldn't be at that stage, or we shouldn't have to resort to using up a defender or another player, wedging in between him and an opposition player to protect him. A keeper, for me, should be, I'm going to come out no matter what. Even if I take out Romero, Van der Ven, whatever, that ball is mine.
Yeah, that's what a goalkeeper is meant to do.
Absolutely. But we all know goalkeepers aren't what they used to be, you know, going back 10, 20 years ago. But
they're too protected now.
Absolutely. Harry, what do you make of it? Because I know you're a bit younger than us. But the whole Vicario situation, and, you know, this being a weakness of his, what do you make of it? Do you reckon he should be a bit stronger? I know you've had you've been on other shows where you sort of, you know, you was adamant that he should be able to learn how to sort of deal with these, you know, these problems. If he has a weakness, he can sort of learn. Do you still stand by that?
Yeah, I do stand by that, and I think for me, it's something that it frustrates me, because it's something so simple, and I'm actually very glad that Dan brought it up. I don't think a weakness is catching. It's just, for me, being able to just be aggressive enough. He's not that kind of figure, Vicario's go and push someone out of the way. For me, it's just been that almost that confidence, that aggression. He just, for me, isn't aggressive enough. He was, though, second half against Everton. I know Everton didn't put the same pressure on, but he was, for me, a lot stronger in that second half. I'll put it down to a range of things. Listen, I've been told some crazy things in the last few days, from you can't learn to catch to Vicario can't improve on his weakness. This is something that can be worked on, from being more aggressive and just using that power and advantage that goalkeepers have. Number two, our own players should be protected. Vicario should have someone on the far post, near post. I saw a little bit more of that today from the likes of Maddison. I don't know what took so long, but the thing that really frustrates me, right, is City okay, it happens and we get knocked out of the FA Cup. It's the first time it's happened, right? But we've already experienced that, so you should be able to learn for the next game, because it's obvious that teams are going to take that into account, that this could be a potential weakness for Vicario and the team. But it's the fact that it happens all game long against Brentford and we do nothing about it, and they're very close to scoring. So the fact it goes into the Everton game, we had, 3 or 4 warnings before they actually put the ball in the back of the net. So we know we're not getting a foul for that. So you've got to adapt around that and be stronger. And Ange as well has got to lead by example in his coaching staff and make it very clear that you just protect the goalkeeper. And Vicario's got to be stronger, believe in himself, believe he can get there, and have full confidence. So I think, being honest with you, I think it's an issue that's going to continue. I think we've got Villa Park to come, not that long away. Then to come still the end of the season, we've got to go Stamford Bridge, James's Park, for example, and they're all going to do it. They're all going to make it tough for Vicario, so it's going to be uncomfortable. But if Vicario, for me, wants to be up there and wants to be remembered as an all-time great as a goalkeeper, then he will overcome this weakness. He spent time, as we're speaking, going away, improving his aggression, his catching. Because it is a little thing. Because Vicario's been great. Let's be very clear. It's been an excellent bit of a recruitment. It's incredible for him to be identified. I wanted David Raya. I can hold my hands up. I was wrong by that. I didn't even know Vicario at the time. So for the club to go and identify Vicario at the time and sign him, for me, is special. He's been very magic for me. He's been one of our best players this season and kept us in so many games and saved us so many points. If you work on that one thing, then he'd be perfect. So I think it's something so simple.
It's such a simple thing as well, really, as far as
exactly.
It's not his catching or whatever. And a lot of people hadn't heard about him. I had. The only reason I'd heard about him is because my second team is Inter Milan. I follow Serie A.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'd already heard about him and knew he was an up-and-coming keeper. I'd only seen him play once, but I knew of him as an up-and-coming keeper, whereas a lot of people didn't even know he existed, but that's because a lot of people just follow the Premiership because it is the best league to follow. He's catching, it's not a problem. He's diving, his reflexes are second to none as far as I'm concerned.
And usually his distribution's good. I don't think it was today, but usually it's good.
50-50 with the distribution, but I think that's down to the way we play.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that.
Yeah, no, it's true.
I think we take more chances at the bloody back with a passing than we do up front.
I don't get it.
It's a 50-50 chance that pass is going to go through at the back. We pass it. If it's a 50-50 chance up front, we make sure it's an 80-20 before we pass it. It don't make sense. But for Carter, it's quite simple. Be more physical. That's all he's got to do. For me, I can't see how that's not one of the easiest things that a keeper's ever had to suss out.
He's made himself a target now, isn't it? Because every team he plays against are going to be putting the ball on top of him. And
absolutely. Absolutely.
If in the next 3 or 4 games he comes out, shows a bit of dominance, then the teams that are coming to our place or we're going to their place have got to think of something different. Do you know what I mean? Because if he kind of gets, I'm not trying to say it is an issue, because at the beginning of the season I didn't really think much of it, but since City, since Everton, everyone's going to be like, right, every corner's going to be an in-swinger and it's going to be right on top of him, and he might fumble it. He might make a bad decision in his positioning. He might not be protected as much. But yeah, I think we kind of set out to protect him a little bit more today. But I think if he went away and done what you said, Dan and H, and what we all agree with, he's got all the mouth. I'm not saying he's got to grow a pair of bollocks.
He's brilliant at commanding his area.
He's got a massive set of bollocks. You know what I mean? He really has. But if he can just become not more of a presence, because his stature is his stature, but if he could just own it a bit more from set pieces, which I think we look very, very poor at defending set pieces. You've got to remember, like, Villa scored a header from the edge of the box. Like, we've conceded goals from a few set pieces this season. If he can just be a bit more dominant when the ball comes more towards him and just cleans people out, then people have got different ideas to think of then, ain't they?
It wasn't until later on in the season that we actually started conceding goals through set pieces and that. We was the last team, if I remember right, I think we was actually the last team in the Premiership to actually concede a goal through a dead ball situation. It was either us or, I can't remember the other one it might have been, but But they have now sussed him. It's not even that he doesn't come off his line to catch it or nothing like that. He just gets the player backing into him. Now, I've heard other people go on, that's a foul. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Unless he dives back into him, basically. He's got every right to step back into him and push him. And this is my point, as all he's got to do is push him off. Get off me.
I mean, you're
But he
allowed to
got
be
pushed
physical
back, and
to a
he
certain extent, aren't you? I mean, the game allows you, as in, say, if you're chasing down the ball 50-50, shoulder barge, you're allowed to show a bit of physicality. So,
Yeah, but even before the corner comes in, if he's like, just fuck off.
exactly.
Like, you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Just get the fuck off me. Like, move. Like, it'll just
exactly.
be the striker or whoever's on him will be like, hold on a minute.
Whereas at Everton, he ended up in the back of the net before the ball even came down, and it wasn't even a hard push he got. He just nudged him. I know it sounds like we're ripping into him, but
he's too nice.
On the ball
He's too nice.
He was trying to be a bit. He was trying to, with that goal Cavaloon scored. He was trying to be a bit clever. He thought, hold on a minute, there's a bit of contact here. I'm going to make out as if he's nudged into me, because 90% of the time, let's have it right, you can't even touch the keeper. But it was so soft in the way that goal went in, and the Man City goal was just a complete disaster from him. That was his fault, no one else's. I do think it may have been a foul, by the way, the Man City one. I do think it was borderline. Hold on a minute, that's a bit of a. That's a bit strong, but at the end of the day, it went against us, and then Everton, it wasn't even a foul. The goal went in. So if he can just basically become a bit more like just, I don't know, bossy, let's just say, and just make it like a problem for whoever's going to be on him, then I think we won't have much of an issue going forward.
Right. So, I mean, we've spoken at length about Vicario. Obviously, we have, because he's been one of our best signings, if not the best signing we've had this season so far.
Top three.
Because Maddison's been, he has actually been the most consistent player for us this season. We agree or not, but I want to sort of move on to the last. We sort of approaching the last segment of the show. Obviously, we've got that last minute winner, last gasp winner from Johnson. One thing the team is showing at the moment, and has been showing through many games this season, is spirit and resilience and staying in the game and unpredictability. So today, all those things sort of coming to fruition in the 96th minute. Talk us through the goal that Johnson scored, guys. I mean, it was a lovely build-up from what I saw between Richarlison, Son, and Johnson. All three Sons combined. They all got Son at the end of their name, so it was a game of Sons. But yeah, talk us through it. I mean, anyone can go first. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, the end of it was harder to miss than it was to score.
And he nearly missed.
I'll give, like I said in another game he played where he scored, he came on with like 45 minutes in the other game, and he had a good pass, he scored a goal and went missing for 42 minutes. Today he come on, he scored at the end, fair play, take me out off to the man and that, well done and everything. But apart from that, nothing, absolutely nothing. I think he has been one of the worst signings of the season in my eyes, for the amount he cost as well. I think he's been terrible. He hasn't got the bottle to put it past the player and use his pace to run past him. He hasn't got the bottle to try and use his feet. He can't pass the ball properly. He can't cross the ball properly. I mean, you look at that shot where he was clean at goal, basically shot. He basically might as well have picked it up and give it to the keeper, where he basically passed it to him. Didn't even have a clean shot at him. I think he has been terrible. Absolutely. I think the word that I look for it, I'll try and use a posh word here. Horrendous, I think, is the word you're looking for. I think he has been absolutely crap. But he scored at the end, so fair play. But like I said, I could have scored that. That was that easy to score. The setup was brilliant. The pass from Maddison, Richarlison actually held back on his pace, passed it to Son well. I mean, Richarlison doing a good pass. He's one in a blue moon, so fair play to him. And Son, I thought that was a brilliant one across the goal.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Sar's goal was much better, the way he put it in with the left foot. That was a proper dirty angle to do it from. But as I say, Johnson, that was harder to miss than score. And I think he was absolutely crap today.
If you come against a team that are organised, set up well to defend, Johnson doesn't do anything, because Johnson, I reckon, was signed for basically is like a counter-attack kind of thing. But the way Ange plays football, we're not really a counter-attacking team anymore. I think that's gone now. I think
wasn't that a classic? Sorry to cut you, but wasn't that a classic example of why we bought him? I mean, you just said why we bought him.
Yeah, in a way, in a way, yeah. Like,
defender, and he's come on and shown that pace. Obviously, Son was a bit fresh because he come on as a sub as well. That pace was what got him there in the first place.
Yeah. I get that, but then again, you sign someone for 50 million, not hoping for a tap in at the back post. You sign someone 50 million to put defenders on toast. Do you know what I mean? Like that like. But if you come against an organised team, Brennan Johnson is woeful because he's like one of these players that is good for the counter attack. But if you've got a good left back, then he's just quiet, isn't he?
But he don't do nothing. He don't even use his pass. He don't even. I mean, like someone has said on here, he's a young kid. How old is he? 22.
Yeah.
Well, he's 22. He's a Wales international.
Yeah, 22 is not a kid. He's got international. He's already done a year in the Premiership. He's already played in the conference, in the league below, which is more physical and everything. Championship, that's the one, which is more physical than that. If it's his pace that we bought him for, then bloody use your pace. If you ain't that good at dribbling or skill, knock it past the man and have the bottle to run past him. He don't even do that. He has been that bad.
I'm not trying to kill him. Like I've just seen a few comments in here. Don't kill him. He's been here.
No, it's just being realistic.
Yeah, we are because we're reacting from what we see. We're not lying. All right, okay, he's better stats than Son's first season, but there's no way
to that though.
Ever
that
Johnson's going to do what Son's done for Tottenham. That's never going to happen. Like, to be fair, Johnson said after the Brentford game, which I kind of held my hands up. I haven't been harsh about Johnson. I've not really said a bad word about him. I've spoke about him. I've just said, look, I expect more from him, this, and that. But after the Brentford game, like obviously when they do the Spurs Twitter and they talk to the players, he says, look, he's got a few issues going on. He's not been at it. He knows he hasn't. He's seen the shit from the fans. He's had to deactivate his Instagram. He's had to deactivate his Twitter, which is out of order. Because normally Spurs don't do their players like that. Normally Spurs are a club and their fans, all right, we might say players don't play well in certain moments or whatever, but we're not really a club that gets on the players like certain clubs like Man United or these other teams. But he said, look, Ange just basically told me in the last few weeks, look, make sure I'm in the right places at the right time. He might not be in the game for a lot of the time, but what I expect as a professional footballer, if you're getting paid X amount and you're worth a certain amount, you should be able to do the basics right. You should be able to get the ball down. You should be able to take a touch. You should be able to bring other players into play. If the ball ain't going down the right, you can still make yourself useful. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he ain't in the game, you can still use your, I don't know, tactical nous. You can still get yourself in the right areas. And to be fair, not in the last two games, but against Brentford, he was in the right place at the right time. And he got an assist when he came on, I think. Today, he was in the right place, right time. So, okay, Ange might think, right, Johnson ain't a world beater, but I'm going to use him like he did today. He's going to come on and he's going to, when we've got pace up the left with Werner or Son, he's just going to be basically waiting at the back post for the chance to come. And to be fair to him, Dan's right again. He wasn't good for the however long he was on the pitch for, but he got us the win. Now, you've got to give him credit for that because he got himself in the right position at the right time. And that, I don't want him to be totally destroyed. Like, I don't want his confidence to go. I don't want him to think all the Spurs fans hate him. We don't. All we expect is just to see a little bit more quality from when he does get on the ball. But like today, I don't know if you saw it. I think it might have been Mitoma was on him. And Johnson kind of controlled the ball, went to pass it. Mitoma just got the ball off him and just ran on. And I was thinking, just use your body.
Mitoma, and he just stood there like he was lost, didn't he?
Yeah,
he just stood there and looked at him like, oh shit, what happened there?
Yeah, Mitoma weighs about 3 stone soaking wet. And I was thinking, come on, man. Do you know what I mean?
With everything you've said, you're right. The only player, as far as I'm concerned, that has the right to play like that is a striker. Yeah. You don't see nothing of him for 89 minutes. He gets the ball, bang, puts it in the back of the net. That is what the striker is there to do. You don't care if you don't see him for 80 minutes, as long as he bloody scores. Being a winger, you're meant to take it on. You're meant to bring the ball forward. You're meant to bring crosses in. You're meant to bring passes in. And he hasn't done it.
Yeah.
I mean, whether people say you're toasting him, whatever, but it is what it is at the end of the day.
This is what's been the frustrating thing with Johnson. And I know earlier in the season as well, Kulusevski was another one who was frustrating. You know, it was very sort of one-dimensional, cutting onto his left all the time, you know, not having the pace to get past his man. And then you thought, well, Johnson's coming in now. Perhaps he could do something there. But look, Harry, I want to come to you because I know you're a big advocate for giving Johnson a bit of time. You mentioned that he's young still. He's still learning, playing in a new team, new system, etc., etc. But would you say there's a case for sort of this season, bringing on Johnson in the final sort of 15, 20 minutes to utilise that pace against tiring defenders. Because for me, I mean, from what we've seen at the moment, when he has started for Spurs, he's been sort of, I wouldn't say non-existent, but just underwhelming.
Not far from it.
Yeah. Danny, I love your honesty, mate, and your brutality. But no, would you say there is a case for sort of bringing him on as a super sub, secret weapon, use that pace in the last 15, 20 minutes to really hurt opposition defenders who are tiring in the game? Because let's not forget, we play a high line. We play pressing football. We like to press for the ball. And when we do have the ball, the opposition do a lot of chasing around. So inevitably, opposition players do get tired. So what do you think, Harry?
Listen, as someone who's consistently defended Johnson and will continue to defend Johnson, his start to life at Spurs has been underwhelming. I think we can all kind of agree with that wherever we stand with Johnson. I don't think you necessarily expect him to come in and hit the ground running, but he's had Premier League experience with Nottingham Forest. For me, I think he's done all right there. And I think he was mainly signed because of his pace and being able to drop the shoulder and take on a man. I think we're yet to see that in a Spurs shirt, and that's the frustrating thing. Yeah, at the moment, I think we're using him off the bench. But at the end of the day, you look back at that goal, he burst the gut to get there. Of course, he should, it's great that he's there. And obviously, as you both said, it's harder to miss and score when you are there, but he's burst the guts to get there. It's all about the move, though, the goal, and Johnson, the right place, right time. I think it's more a confidence thing, but kind of going back to what you said, Mark, I don't think it is a rare thing to kind of see, sadly now anymore at Spurs, with Johnson, for example, having to deactivate and limit comments on Instagram, because the same happened temporarily to Pedro Porro last season. Richarlison, I think I'd put under that bracket. I'd love to sit here with you and be honest and go, because I think highly of this fan base. I think we have some excellent fans and we have excellent support. However, there's some individuals who put players down, and someone like Johnson, for being honest with you, I think that's why he's not, like, you can see his first touch and things like that, not taking on the play. I think he's lacking that confidence. And don't tell me, some of the stuff that he has said towards him and that he sees is going to make him feel good, because it's not. Whether he should read it or not is another thing. Sometimes things are hard to ignore when you have a family and friends close around you who do care about you. So I'm behind Johnson. I think he's best used as an impact player. It's like I love Timo Werner, but I think eventually he'll be used as an impact player. I think the main questions around Johnson are because of the money, and that's not his fault. But if I'm being honest, as someone who has defended Johnson, I did say at the time of his signing, he's not the player that I would have signed. I would have gone for Morgan Gibbs-White. Personally, at the time, I don't think that Johnson was the player, but we've got him. And while he's in a Spurs shirt, I will defend him. He got the goal, which won us the game today. But you look at his performance, it's been underwhelming. We can all agree with that. And I think both Mark and Dan's points, they're not incorrect. So I'm going to give him time, because Richarlison, look at him now for me. He's playing with confidence at the moment. So it's a lot of it's a confidence thing. We have a lot of impact players. So I think Johnson, I think Werner will be another one where we use off the bench. But right now, I don't think Johnson's playing any worse than for example, Kulusevski is. They're both frustrating to watch at the moment.
At least Kulusevski comes. One thing you notice with Kulusevski, he gets a lot of stick and a lot of deserved stick at times, But I think with Kulusevski, a lot of people don't actually notice what he actually does. He
does a lot off the ball
very well. What else does he do? Because Porro is not a good defender. I don't care what anyone tells me.
No,
He's
true.
not a good
I agree with that.
But he's better than he was last season, so people are saying he's good. No, he was horrendous last season as a defender, and now he's doing okay. But he's excellent at getting forward and crossing the ball. Who covers him most of the time? Kulusevski comes back and covers him. As soon as Johnson's on there and Porro's on there, bang, it's all coming down the left the whole time, and that, because Porro.
I thought Kulusevski was good today, to be honest with you.
That's what I'm saying. Kulusevski comes back and helps Porro out. Johnson, like I say, he just looks lost. Call it confidence, call it what you want. 50 million, not his fault. How much is he getting paid? He's a footballer. What you meant to, I mean, this is probably where I'm older and I look at players like from 90s, 2000 and that. What you meant to do? Give him a kiss on the cheek and say, it's all right, boy, better luck next time. If he was doing this at Arsenal, Man U, Man City, Chelsea, we'd all be ripping him to pieces. You just got to be honest about what it is. And he has been terrible.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I think he would know that himself. That his performance has been below.
He's openly admitted that, and for me, I think confidence will come over time, and I think we'll see a completely different player, like we've seen with Richarlison this season.
One thing we've got to do, guys, is give him his props for today. Today is Johnson's day. Today's Johnson's day. He's the match winner today. So hopefully that brings a bit of confidence to the lad. But it's his day today, and we've got to celebrate that and salute him for that. So Tottenham win 2-1. Much needed 3 points, considering we've got another home game coming up in Wolves, which is going to be an interesting one. We are going to get on to match predictions for that one. Important 3 points. But Arns, we've got another game on the 17th in a week's time. Home game against Wolves, who've been, let's be honest, I mean, they've turned over some decent teams this season, and they are a handful as well. I mean, they play good football as well, let's be honest. They play decent football.
Look at them today. Losing to Brentford and getting Cunha injured.
Exactly. But at home, do you reckon you'd fancy us to get the job done? Another 3 points?
Yeah, do you know what? I really, really like their manager, Gary O'Neill. He was on Monday night.
Young manager.
Yeah, he was on Monday Night Football when we beat Fulham 2-0 about 3 months ago or whatever. And just listening to him, he got shafted at Bournemouth, which I thought was a bit of a weird decision from them. He kept him up. He done wonders at their club for me, and he does really play like a really nice style of football. But we shouldn't be worrying about teams like Wolves if we're serious, and that will all come down to just where we want to be. We're in a position now where we've nicked a few games, we've got a few decent results, we've been a bit lucky. Now, for me, Ange this week, in my opinion, should be like, right, from now to the end of the season, something needs to change, whether it's being a bit more tactically astute in the fact that we cannot go missing up the left, we cannot go missing up the right, we kind of got to not allow teams to just nick goals against us. There's something that's got to change at the club, and I don't know whether it's something to do with Ange, it's something to do with play. I don't know what it is, but from now until the end of the season, we've got a few hard away games, as Harry said earlier. We've got to go to Anfield, we've got to go to St James. In April, we've got Newcastle away, it might be like Arsenal at home, and then we've got to go Liverpool away, and then City at home, or something like that. I don't know what it is.
We got West Ham away, Forest home, Newcastle away, Manchester City home, and Arsenal at home in April.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's going to be important from now to the end of the season to win the games we should be winning. Lucky that Wolves lost their best player today, in my opinion. He got injured, and obviously that might fall in our hands. But I expect a 3-0 win at it probably won't go that way. It'll probably be like a 2-1, 3-2. But I really do expect a comfortable 3-0 win, maybe a clean sheet to get the morale up. Just a game where you're not sitting at the edge of your seat thinking, oh my God, they can go on and nick this. A game where we can get an early goal, a goal just before half-time, which kills off the game, and a game where we just control the second half and catch Wolves on the counter and win 3-0.
Great. So Arns is going with a 3-0 win, convincing win, hopefully to get that morale, get a bit of a morale boost. Anyone else feeling the same? Dan E., what's your prediction?
I think we can get the game 2-1, and it's going to be scruffy because, like I said, what is this? The 15th game now. 1 out of 15 we've kept a clean sheet, but we are the only team in the Premiership that has scored in every game we've played in, if I'm thinking right.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. So we know we score goals, but one thing you can definitely say at the moment, we're going to concede goals as well. Yeah. So a 3-0, I'd love to, but I just don't see that happening. The way we do things at the moment is we are just playing very scruffy at the moment. But if that's how we get a win, then so be it. We win. But I agree with what people said. Something has to get worked out here. But then this is his first season, and I don't think anyone was even expecting us to be up there fighting for top 4 this year.
Yeah.
Not many.
Agreed.
So maybe to an extent, dare I say it, and upset a few people, I personally think we're punching above our weight at the moment.
Overachieving, yeah.
But if you look at 9 out of the 11 players we got, like in the first team, we should definitely be challenging for a few things, like giving it a harder fight. It's definitely the mentality in that as well. Andrew's got to work out his system and everything on how to make the whole thing work properly. But I think it's going to be the same through the rest of the season. You're going to see scruffy wins, and then there might be one where we get 4-1, and then there's going to be another where we get slaughtered 4-2. But one thing you can definitely guarantee, we will concede a goal, but we will score goals. So I'm going to go 2-1 and just give you my reason why.
2-1. Very, very sensible approach from, not saying yours isn't, Ons, not saying yours isn't. I think your prediction is very much based on your heart.
Yeah.
But a more measured approach from Dan E with a 2-1 victory for Spurs. And interesting to get Harry's take on things. Harry, what do you reckon is going to happen when we come up against Wolves?
At this moment in time, I'm feeling confident. If you'd asked me at half time, it would have been completely different, because at that time, Wolves hadn't capitulated to Brentford. They hadn't had Cunha come off injured, and we hadn't turned it around against Brighton. So it just shows you, I think, what can change in such a short period of time. So Wolves possess a lot going forward for me. They're a similar opponent in Brighton in terms of the way they knock the ball about. They have a manager for me who's a very key part of both clubs' jigsaw. Gary Neville's done a fantastic job at Wolves. Obviously, they've got Neto back, but Faye still hasn't reached match fitness. It looks good, but Cunha, as Mark alluded to, for me, Wolves' best player this season. So if he is out, which it looks like at this moment in time, then that is a massive plus for us. And that's what I'm going to go with for, I think, the first time this season, and say that we're going to keep a clean sheet. So I'm going to go with 2-0 Spurs. I think it'll be very, very comfortable. I don't think we'll quite be able to get the third goal and really run away with it. But all that matters is we get 3 points, because, as I said, we've got a tough run of the season to go. And as I said, we've got places like Villa Park, St James's Park, Stamford Bridge to go. Got City and Arsenal to host, etc. So, and I look at including the one that we've just won, our next 3, which is now next 2, and they're all, for me, must win. So we need 6 points of our next 2 games, total of 9 in those 3, if we want any chance of finishing inside top 4. So comfortable 2-0 win for me.
One quick point, can I just put across to you? Question, call it more than anything. Last season was a mad season, but one thing everyone was always scared of was when it hit 85, 90 minutes. How many did we concede in the 90 minutes? And that was playing defensive. If you look at the way we're playing this year, you're just as scared this year as you were last year. Ange had one of the easiest jobs in the Premiership ever, and that was winning the Spurs fan base. What did he have to do? Get the players right, kick the ball forward, not backwards. Bang, there you go, 90% of the fans on his side. Job done. Now he's got to concentrate there. But you're just as scared this year as you are last year when it comes to 90 minutes.
If not more.
Yeah, exactly. I do agree. And Dan, if you had like Hwang available, and if they did have Cunha available, then I'd be scared. Even getting to 2-0 with like 5 minutes to go, because I know the Wolves have that in them, and we have that in us defensively. So I think the way we play invites pressure. I think personally, under your Nuno's, your Conte's and Mourinho's, it was the more we didn't have the quality in defence for me to hold out games and keep clean sheets. Now I think we've got the quality. We just don't play the way to hold out games, which is completely fine. But it is an issue when you don't kill games, which you're not at the moment. So for me, we've got to instantly improve that. I hope it will with players coming back. But I'm definitely worried. I thought Brighton might nick it today. I'm very surprised it didn't. We had one really good move and Johnson on the end of it. If it wasn't for that, then...
But because it's so chaotic and crazy, it's easier to deal with in its own way, because you are seeing some good football in that. Whereas when it was scared in the last 90 minutes of last season and that, it was such dinosaur football and that, you was already half asleep by the time that the game was finished.
At least you're getting value for money this season, though, right? If you're you get that added time and you get entertainment at the end, whether we concede or score.
I prefer the way we're doing it now. But I'm just as scared when it gets to 85 minutes as I was last year, for God's sake.
It's never finished.
We got Wolves next week. I know we've got Palace at home soon, and I know
Villa coming up as well, haven't we? I know we've got the Lutons and
we got Wolves, Palace.
Palace.
We got Wolves at home. The Chelsea one is obviously changed. We got Crystal Palace at home, Villa away, Fulham away,
and Luton's coming up.
Luton at home.
Yeah.
We to be fair, we should win. I don't know. We should win next week, and we should beat Palace. But it's good that tomorrow West Ham, who are just below us, are playing Arsenal, who are just above us, and Villa and Man United are below us, playing each other. So if they can take points of each other in the right places, and we win next week, and then we beat Palace, it could build a bit of momentum, because we do rely on other results when we should be focusing on ourselves. But other results have gone our way this year, and I think we've, as Dan said, we kind of rode our luck a little bit, but that is going to stop at one point. But we need to be in control of our own destiny, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. Well, guys, look, thank you very much for being part of the show today, and also thank you very much for your predictions. And I will air Adrian Striker's last comment here. We need 72 points to get top 4 and ECL football, as that is the amount of points on average that has got teams top 4 since 92. Let's not forget, though, no team has ever reached the total amount of points we had after playing 10 games and not finished in the top 3. So we certainly said, hold my beer to that at the time. So I wouldn't look too much into this.
And it 5th place might get a backdoor.
Might get a backdoor in, depending on coefficiency and all that stuff.
And the team's history in Europe as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what Adrian's trying to say is we need 25 points from the available 42, achievable from 14 games, but hey ho, it is Tottenham we're talking about.
It's like as I said, sorry to interrupt, but you look at games like Wolves, Palace at home coming up, they've got Luton at home, all of those have got to be 3 points, because realistically, for me anyway, sitting here now and we've got to go to Villa Park, for example, I go I want to be able to get to that and go, a point wouldn't be too bad, because we don't want to get to that tough period in April, kind of sitting 5th and going, we're going to have to win here and make it hard for ourselves. So we need to do ourselves a favour, which is something Tottenham, not being funny, are not good at this season. We did do it today. So for a start, I mean, I've been good in recent years.
Conte mentioned we're not good on the pressure, are we? These players don't want to play under pressure.
Yeah, remember,
it's true.
A lot of European football is going to be played, which means Villa are going to be involved, Liverpool are going to be involved, Arsenal are going to be involved, Man City are going to be involved. I'm not trying to say we can finish anywhere we want. I'm not going to say we're going to win the league, but if we pretty easy, I reckon.
Before I go,
the way it is at the moment, we should be able to walk through some of this, because we haven't got to worry about Europe. Yes, we've had injuries go against us and that, but with most of the squad back, one thing that felt good today, I mean, I can't say Johnson coming on bother me in the slightest, but when you have 2 come off and you can bring on Basuma and Son, it definitely looked all right, didn't it?
Yeah, much better.
And with what we've got, we should be able to walk that 4th place.
Yeah, I think so.
Considering the amount of games and pressure that other teams are going to have on them.
Before I wrap up, what I wanted to say is, I mean, we talk a lot about other teams will have European football. They'll be tired. We can take advantage of that. Well, I mean, I would caveat that and say those other teams perhaps have better squad depth than us to be able to sort of compete on both fronts, on multiple fronts. You look at Manchester City, they can call upon 5-6 players to come in if need be. You look at Arsenal, yes, their squad isn't as deep as others, but they still have a decent squad depth. You look at Liverpool.
Really?
Our bench today, I don't think there's any team bar City with a better bench than us today. No way. If we can keep
agree with that.
Next week is going to be the first time Ange is going to have a full, providing we don't get any injuries in training, a full squad with no travel jet lag, with no malaria, with nothing. Potentially next week can be Forrester in goal, like Royale, it could be Dragostin, it could be Bentancur, it could be Werner, it could be our bench depth next week could be insane, considering we're Tottenham Hotspur and we can actually look at the bench and be like, right, we're not going to bring on Gill, we're not going to bring on all these players that won't make a difference whatsoever, because our bench today was the difference. Do you know what I mean? So maybe it's a turning point for us now, having a bench where depth wise it actually can match the 11 we've got, if you get me.
And don't feed them no lasagna.
Yeah, exactly that. No more.
I think 2006 there, but let's hope those days are long gone. We've got better chefs in that Hotspur way. Guys, thank you very much. I'm going to end the show. I've been going on for almost an hour and 15 minutes. Tottenham Hotspur, once again, 3 points at home to Brighton. We've avenged our defeat at the Amex Stadium. Barnes, where can we catch you next?
Where can you? When can you? I could be on whenever. So next weekend, I'm about. I might be up the game next week. Not too sure because there's a train strike.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm available whenever.
So a bit of a catch me if you can situation there with Arns. Film. Thank you very much, Arns. Dan E, tell us a bit about your channel because you are you are the host of the Hotspur Hood. You run the channel. Where can we catch you next?
Well, Tuesday I'll definitely be doing a show where I had to take a couple of months out because of medical reasons and that. Couldn't go on computers for a set amount of time, so it was too damaging. Going to start on the basics, going on the shows, do a regular on a Tuesday, and then as the month goes on, start doing more shows on there. So yeah, Hotspur Hood is where you find me. If you have a look on there, I had a mate Dave come on who actually had a great debate with Stel on why Levy should stay in the club. So
interesting, guys. If you are interested in watching great debates, make sure you get to the Hotspur Hood, Dan E's channel. Make sure you subscribe to that channel and check out what they're all about. Bringing you, as he said, great debates about why Levy should stay, etc., and other current affairs. Dan E, thank you very much. Seems
thanks for letting us on.
Thank you for being on the show. And Harry, thank you again. You are a part of our team as well at Spurs Kings TV, but you also run your own successful channel, Scarfy Spurs Talks. When can we catch you next and where can people subscribe to you?
Yeah, firstly and most importantly, thank you very much for having me on once again. It's incredible to be part of such an amazing team. Obviously rebranded recently on the Friday show, then on again tonight. So thank you. If you want to follow me, you can there, Harry Scarf 22. But you've got my channel there, Scarfy Spurs Talk, where you can find match previews, instant match reactions, match day vlogs, weekly live shows every Monday, 8 p.m. Tomorrow evening, I'm recording a pre-recorded video with a ex-referee who's an expert in refereeing, so we'll be discussing refereeing and why we're seeing so much inconsistency. We talk VAR, blue cards, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm co-hosting Part Lane podcast tomorrow 7 p.m. because I'm a co-host for them until the end of the season. So thank you very much for coming on. Matchday vlog will be out tomorrow as well, so thank you very much once again, and obviously subscribe to Spurs Kings TV.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you for plugging us as well, Harry. Make sure you do get over to Harry's channel, Scarfy Spurs Talk. As you heard there, so much coming up. He's got an ex-referee coming to talk about VAR and everything else that's coming in. And Harry, you've got so much stuff going on. If you're interested, please go on Harry's channel. Make sure you give him a subscribe and check out some of his other podcasts. I believe he's on Spotify as well. And please do
and Amazon Music.
Thank you. And please do also, like I said, go and check out Dan E. Want to say thank you to everyone who's tuned in today to watch the show, the match reaction. Thank you to the chat. I can't go through all the names, but if you're new to here, please do hit the subscribe button. If you like what you see, hit that like button, and we will see you on the next one. Hopefully not from my kitchen, but I've had to cook in the show, believe it or not. But you will catch me hopefully next Wednesday with Ashmatic for the rival show. So you got that one coming up. So guys and girls, thank you very much. Come on, you Spurs. Nice 3 points. Get it.
Up Spurs.